few months ago, we went up to the North Shore of Lake Superior, and my wife and I decided to do a digital detox. This allowed us to be more present with our kids and with each other. And for the most part, it was a success. At least the digital detox was. We spent 4-ish days without our phones, and we got a lot of benefits out of that. Spending more time with our kids, going on hikes, and all of us got to be away from screens, my kids included, because they watch plenty of TV and play plenty of video games. What I should have realized, though, was the detox itself was doomed before it began. Not during it. During it was fine. It worked just as I expected. But afterwards, we returned to our old habits within a half a day or a day, if I'm being generous. Right back into the mix. And while it was nice to have the detox, I realize now what I should have been spending some of that time at least doing instead to make that detox even better. And so why didn't it work? Why do you relapse? Well, when you come back after a detox of any length, there's some things that haven't changed. You might have spent some time without. Maybe that gave you some great time to reflect. Maybe you kind of repair your attention a little bit. But the algorithms that are on these platforms and these apps, those algorithms are still there. They're still waiting, and they still know exactly what you want to watch. And they'll feed that to you. The other thing that's the same is your systems. So not only are the platform systems the same, maybe they've tweaked it to make it even more engaging and better, but your systems haven't changed either. All the situations you're in, the reasons you pick up your phone, those all remain. So all the triggers that are there for you to use your phone just get recreated within no time at all. The other thing that remains the same is your attention. Well, you might have repaired it a little bit on the trip, and that is one side effect of the detox. Before long, you're right back in it, and you're at least at the level you were before from an attention span, if not more. All the gains you made in that digital gym, in the mind gym, all those gains lost pretty quickly. So this is a buzzkill, right? Well, there's real things that I think you can do to make any digital detox more successful, not just for the duration of the detox, but really to set yourself up for phone use permanently in the future. And before I begin and explain that, I'll just ask that if you like this content that's coming up, you'd subscribe. If you've listened to any of my videos, you subscribe. Most of the people watching this aren't subscribers, and that's great. Love talking to you. But a subscription is just a great signal for me to show that I'm delivering value to you. So let's dive into it. What I want you to do is use the digital detox as a time to rethink. It's a chance at clarity. You're without your device, so you can think about your situation and your relationship with your phone in a different way. And it's not about how do I create this detox effect for my whole life, because I don't think that's realistic. It's about imagining what the ideal state relationship you would have with your phone would be moving forward, because it's not going to be a complete embargo. I use it for plenty of things that are super valuable to me. Google Maps, so I never get lost. Things like that. You're listening to music. There's plenty of good uses for the technology alongside the bad ones. So spend some time thinking about what is the ideal state of me and the phone, the relationship between me and the phone is. Write it down. Get as vivid as you can possibly be. I've done like a whole day in the life of what the ideal state for the phone would be, and very specific about when I'm using that phone, what I'm using the phone for, where the phone is during these events in my life, and what that new relationship's going to be. And what this allows you to do is to examine gaps between ideal state. So following the detox, you can examine the gaps between ideal state and the current state. And every one of these gaps I call attention. If your ideal state's here and your current state's here, that whatever that distance is, whatever's pulling you away from that ideal state is attention. And you want to gather those tensions. You want to record them. If you're on the digital detox and you're feeling these or remembering any of them, write them down alongside the other notes about your ideal state. But it's hard to know until you're in the moment. So you will want to, and I'll give you a pass to if you're using your phone a lot, I'll give you a pass to do this digitally, but record all these tensions on your phone. Pay attention to your tension and just record them. Just no judgment, just I wish this was different than this. This is the tension between ideal state that I had envisioned and my current state. And that will, over time, create a big tension map. And this allows you to examine everything that's keeping you away from your ideal state. Because it's not just one thing. A lot of times we think of behavior change as binary. It's I want to be here, I want to be here. I just need to combine them. I just need to do that overnight. Well, with phones who are so ubiquitous throughout our life, that's just not realistic or possible. There's 100 different little areas. So if you can examine all those areas in one, you can kind of pick and choose and prioritize what's the number one thing that would have the biggest benefit to me. And if we're going back to those reasons why you relapse, from the algorithm standpoint, those were still there. So an experiment that we can run to see if we can affect that algorithm is by reducing our engagement with the platform. And you can do those in many different ways. My favorite one is to unsubscribe some stuff that makes me feel the way I don't want to feel. So if you look at that ideal state, it probably doesn't say, I'm using my phone and it's going to make me mad all the time. Or I'm using my phone and it's going to make me angry or sad or whatever. Well, so then just unsubscribe or say, don't show me this, whatever it is, and that will reduce your engagement level with the platforms. The other thing that's still there is your own systems. And so what do you do about changing that? My favorite experiment to run is a sanctuary, is find an area in your home or wherever you live and say, this area, my phone is not allowed, or any device is not allowed. Create a, analog sanctuary for you to retreat to. And my favorite place is the bedroom. I think this is the biggest effect for people. Get a physical alarm clock if you have to. If you don't have money for that, you still use your phone alarm clock, but put it in another room. It'll help you get out of bed. This is an important area. You don't want to use your phone the last thing of the day. You don't want to use it first thing in the morning. I doubt that's in your ideal state. So create a sanctuary around it and move forward with that. And then the last thing, to repair your attention, I think the best way to repair your attention is with socialization. And that doesn't have to be analog. It doesn't have to be in person. Not everybody has the luxury of being around people or having friends or having family that are close to you. So digital connections are fine too. But what I would prompt you with is, can you get out of the group chat? Can you do one-on-one? We need to really replace our conduit to culture that is just social media and group chats and group think. And get out of that kind of mode. Get out of chat rooms and things like that, comment boards. That's a flimsy form of connection. And hit some people up one-to-one. If you have a group chat, if you're lucky enough to have that, start messaging people individually about things, and use these digital tools for what their original purpose was, and that is actually communicating with people and making real meaningful connections. If you can do analog, do that too. This is going to go a long way to repairing your attention. So, we talked about detoxes and why they're great in the moment, but they don't really do anything for you afterwards. And I gave you a bunch of things about how to rethink what you're doing on that detox, building your ideal state, and then for the future of your life, examining the tensions between your ideal state and your reality, and then using those to create experiments. So one real tactical thing you can do is schedule time Sunday evening, put it on the calendar for kind of a weekly review of that tension map. Find a place for that tension map. Again, I said digital's fine. You want to be able to capture it in the moment. So if you have a notes app on your phone, create a note called tension map, throw them all in there, examine them throughout the week, and then come back on Sunday and take a look. What do I got? Prioritize one of those areas. You want to kind of group things that are similar. Maybe there's a lot of tensions around one area of your life. Maybe prioritize that one. and pick an experiment. I gave you a couple. And then go a week and run that experiment. And then the next Sunday should be a recurring event on your calendar. The next Sunday, decide, how did that experiment go? Reflect on it. What went well? What didn't go as well? What would you change, if anything? Would you run it again? Would you pause it? Would you try something new? You have all these different options for the next week to run an experiment. Maybe it worked good and you just want to try it for another week. Maybe you want to make a tweak. That's fine. Anything is game. Maybe something happened and you want to try something new. That's cool. Just keep experimenting until you're going to get some wins. Success or failures are fine. Failures are part of the process. They're just feedback for that next learning cycle, that next week to figure out, okay, that sort of worked, but Thursday was tough, or what could I change to make it resilient? And what could I try next time? And slowly but surely, you'll have less tensions. Your reality will come closer to your ideal state. It'll never be perfect, but you want to be closer and you want to have less tensions over time and be so that you're like this far away, not this far away. That's kind of the point. The point isn't just to get to your ideal state and live there. It's, again, not realistic. Your ideal state will continue to shift as you make changes, and that's part of the process, just an ongoing cycle of experimenting and changing your behavior. That's all I have for today. I'd love it if you subscribed, as I mentioned before. If you know of anyone else dealing with screen addiction, let them know I'm here and I'm committed to helping them. I'd record this, but no one watches to the end anyway. If you did watch to the end, throw a comment, let's say, comment diddly in the comments if you hit this end, because very few people are going to watch this far. Until next time, appreciate you. Bye.